So our coaches' nights on a Monday here on AFL 360. Opening round is so based in the north, so that is where we head. Our first stop is the Gold Coast. Damien Hardwick. Damien, great to have you back on the program.
Thanks, guys. Evening, gents.
And one of the newbies, Dean Cox, who's now the senior coach of the Sydney Swans. Dean, terrific of you to join us this Monday night.
You're right, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Damien, what's it like out the window on the Gold Coast?
Look, it's not too bad at this stage, but I have been Googling sandbags just to make sure that we are covered in a little bit of a low-lying area in Burleigh Heads here. So there might be a bit of work on the day off, so to speak. But I think we'll be okay. We're just preparing as normal. We'll leave it up to the local authorities in the AFL to make decision in due course.
So what are you starting to hear from, first as a citizen, and we'll do the footy coach in a minute, what are you starting to hear in the community around preparedness Thursday night, Friday?
Well, I think up north a little bit in Queensland, it's probably destined to hit, I think they were saying. And you know, down here on Thursday, we're, I think, anywhere between 40 to 80 mils. Then Friday might even be a bit more than that. So it's going to be really interesting. The one thing I will say, the grounds do drain really well up here, but I suppose it's just going to be left to the local authorities and the AFL to make a call at some stage. You know, we're really keen to go ahead, especially with our home game up here. But you know, as I think I heard Andrew Dillon say today, the AFL are very flexible and agile. So we'll find out what that means in due course, I think.
Coxie, it's always raining in Sydney, so you'd be pretty prepared for it anyway.
Yeah, it has been a wet summer, so yeah, expect some rain certainly throughout the week, and looks like it might clear up for Friday night, which is really exciting considering obviously the game at hand.
Dimma, is there a sense of concern amongst the community? No one's making light of it down here at all. There's this great uncertainty around it. We sit here tonight not knowing whether the game's going to go ahead, but is there a community concern up there of major proportion?
Well, as I said, probably up in Brisbane more so, where they've obviously, some 3 or 4 years ago, obviously went through that catastrophic, flood that approach that area. So look, it is a relatively big cell, as we can see, so there's obviously going to be some concern, and the health and well-being of players is paramount, as is the supporters and fans. So we're really confident that the people in charge in the AFL and the local government will make the correct decisions for the safety of everyone.
Has anyone told you any stories? The Suns once played as Tropical Cyclone Nora was gathering. They played a game against North Melbourne. Has anyone told you any stories from that yet?
No, I haven't actually. I haven't heard that one. But look, hopefully it's not too bad. I know the winds on Thursday or Friday are meant to be about 100 and something kilometres an hour at some stage. So, yeah, hopefully we're kicking with the wind if we were playing that day.
Dean, on an injury front, so it has been a summer defined by injury, and then on the weekend a couple of nasty ones, or in the community series. Have you spoken to Errol Gulden post-surgery?
Yeah, I have. Obviously devastating for Errol and the footy club. Spoke to him, obviously, when we got back to the hotel, and we were really fortunate to have medical staff and obviously some surgeons up in Brisbane. He stayed up and had surgery on Sunday morning, so I spoke to him before surgery and then after surgery and again this morning. So, yeah, he's in as good a spirits as you possibly can be with what he's just undertaken. So hopefully everything goes well with that, and he can start his rehabilitation.
What is he being told around recovery at the moment?
Yeah, he'll stay up in Brisbane for a little period and make sure he'll meet the surgeon in about 5 weeks' time, and that'll determine the extent of the time out. Obviously, he won't be playing in the early part of the season. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but, it's an opportunity that someone else will have to step into.
You've both been through it. I'll start with you, Coxie, as players and now coaches. I mean, I don't know if it was Dimma that said it's a necessary... I think it might have been Brad Scott who described it as a necessary evil. How do you work out who plays and who doesn't? So Errol plays and cops this unfortunate one, and you've as a new coach, you're driving home thinking, well, I've kept Isaac back, I've kept the rest of them back. I mean, how do you decide who plays and who doesn't?
Oh, yeah, for us, we just sort of spoke about the pre-season that it had. Errol had a little bit of a hiccup throughout a period. So, and also for Errol, he wanted to play. I think that's what you've got to manage, is how the player feels, knowing that we do play 7 days later against Hawthorn. So, yeah, we took some precaution with players that had had full pre-seasons and obviously some big workloads throughout the year that we expect. So, Errol wasn't one of them. Now I sort of wish he was, but, you can't control and live in hindsight.
Dimma, you've also been through it. You had a period there the other night where they just kept going down. You might have wondered whether you could put a side together. I mean, how have you come out of that, and how's your injury list stacking up?
Yeah, look, not as well as we'd like. Obviously, Dave Swallow's a bit of a long-termer in 8 weeks. You know, Max doubtful, Lockie Weller's doubtful. Who else have we got?
Mac Andrew?
Mac Andrew's doubtful, I think, at this stage as well. Charlie Ballard, we think, will play. And we think Touk Miller will be available too. So it's one of those things. It's like, all of a sudden we're Mac Andrews 30 seconds in is coming off the ground. You think, crikeys, you sort of got to put him in harm's way a little bit, but it can be a really deflating experience, I think, by the end of it. And obviously then you're shuffling deck chairs to try and make it work. But it is a challenging period, and whether it's through training or the preseason games, you're right on a knife's edge, and just your biggest factor of luck is your player availability come round one. So we might be a little bit challenged early, but as Coxie said, it's a great opportunity for other players to stand up and fill the void until those boys are back. But we're confident the players will be able to put in a great performance for us.
Feels like there's two parts to the summer conversation. So maybe these match sim and the community games first. Is Damien, are they a necessary evil? Do you need to play opponents in the lead up to the season?
I think you do. I think, look, how many is probably the case. I think you'll always do what you need to do, like whether it's one full one, because we sort of played managed minutes last week, obviously, with some of our players, because as Dean was alluding to, some players play a high amount of game times throughout the year. So you sort of want to realise that we've got one of the longest seasons in the world, so we don't want to push them hard this early. But look, I think definitely one. Look, other clubs will push for two, and I could be talked into it. But I think the challenge for all of us is we've got the world's longest pre-season. We've also got the longest season, and something has to give. And one of the struggles for us is we come back with about we train 2.5, 3 weeks before Christmas, then we have 3 weeks off, then we come back, then we've got community camps, we've got 4-day breaks, we've got AFLPA camps. So everything doesn't flow. Whether or not we say, listen, guys, pre-Christmas, you guys have what you have, but Jan 1, we're back, and then we're just with the coaches for 71 days until our season starts, and then we can get flow into our pre-season, our games, and get on with it from there. So, look, there's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions, me included, but what that looks like, I'm not exactly sure.
Are they listening to you at AFL House? How's the lines of communication between the coaching fraternity and the AFL?
Dean?
You can answer this one, Tim, for the experienced one.
One of you, Dimma, you're the premiership coach.
They're great. They'll listen to anything we say. Once again, we're all working together, and I think sometimes, even I get my head on with regard to that, but we all want what is very best for the games primarily, but also the health and well-being of players. Like, we had a really strong conversation with the AFL with regard to the sub rule. I think the vast majority of coaches just wanted to go with 5 in the bench. We think the sub is it's something that adds to the mental toll of the players. 1, you're wearing the sub vest, or 2, you're being subbed off. It adds to our workload, making phone calls, figuring out who that guy is. We haven't got that one across the line. We wish we would. But I think overall the AFL listened to all our grievances, but also general ideas about what the game is better. And, we're working on getting that relationship better all the time.
Dean, do you have a view on contact days, contact hours across the summer, having done it for the first time as the senior coach?
I probably agree with Dimma. I think one thing you need to do is the first part, we need to prepare our players for a long season. So the duty of care, or the role that we play in that, is to make sure that they've done enough leading into the start of the season. And, players will get managed throughout that, but we need to make sure that players are ready. When they're ready to go, they can play for the whole season. So, it's been a little bit different being an assistant to a senior coach and having to actually make all those decisions, but you back the people that are around you as well, and make a collective decision.
All right, Dean, you're about to coach the senior team for the first time on Friday night. Damien, what are your memories of that initiation?
Yeah, look, it was an exciting time, obviously, to coach your first game, and big game, obviously, round 1. It always feels like it's worth 8 points as compared to 4. But I think the more important question from my point of view is, Horse used to barrel you, Coxie. I'm like, who is your guy? Who you got in the gun straight away?
I might get him back in and actually return the favour. Yeah, no, I'm going to try and sort of keep my calm as much as I possibly can. Whether that comes to fruition, that's a different story.
Well, we'll keep you to that. We'll have about 8 cameras on you on Saturday night. So what is the greatest challenge for you, do you think, coming into this game? It's all very well to sit there when you're not in the ultimate seat. I know you've driven a lot of it over the journey, but what is the thing that you're most mindful of and looking forward to with some degree of sort of trepidation but anticipation?
I'm just really excited about Friday night. And it's not necessarily about me. This is about the players starting their season and the new journey that we're on. And, I just want to make sure that the players over the pre-season and through the first couple of games have responded really well to some changes that we wanted to make. And, for me, it's about obviously trying to stay calm and, ask the other assistants for their opinion on a lot of things and then make the final decision. And, I want to I've sort of said to our players over the whole pre-season, we want to be able to adapt and problem solve. And, I see that role in myself as well. So I want to make sure they're as calm as possible, but, ready to attack that footy as hard as they can.
Does mental scarring exist after the events of grand final day?
I think only time will tell. We tried to review that the first day back. One thing I'm big on is learning from every encounter that you do have, and the grand final was our last one for our first day of pre-season. So, we had to address it. The players have moved on, and to their credit, they've been phenomenal through this period. So, it's about trying to not make amends for it. It's just every other, there's 7, 8 other teams that are at the starting blocks on equal points. For us, it's about trying to put our best foot forward right from the outset.
You're going to put your stamp on the group, and you did that. We had a chat with you on radio, and you spoke about the time trial where you sealed them back into it again. I loved that. I loved hearing that. Am I led to believe that you've been fighting for Tom McCartan to play forward now for 2 years, and you had to wait till a horse went before you could get him down there?
No, not at all. I think, that's something, the conversations that we have, and when you do take over, is had the ability to be able to try and stimulate a group. And, for John, we'd spoken about that all the way through leading into pre-season. I was running anyway if he was away. So, and for Tommy, it's more about just the way he plays. He attacks the ball, he presents at all times. And will he get things wrong? Yeah, he will at times. But, he does a lot with effort. And, he certainly stands up when we need him to. And it's a learning experience, but he's also played there as a junior. So really excited to see how that goes.
Matt, generational coach, success at Richmond, 3-time premiership. It's going to have you held in that high regard forever and a day. The pressure of what you want to achieve up there at the Suns, the urgency of what they want to have achieved, and whether or not it's a matter of coaches making players or players making coaches. Where are you sitting right now with it all?
Oh, I think we've got a really capable group that's on the verge of greatness, in my opinion. And I've sort of learned from a great variety of leaders that aspirational leadership is a place to be. So, look, I'll always challenge this group to be the very best version of themselves, and I think they're capable of doing some wonderful things. We've got a group that I think our core has been together for a long period of time, and we're about ready to take that next step. Now, I'll always firmly say that finals are the benchmark for us, and whatever comes after that, or making the final, is a benchmark, and whatever comes from that will be. And, people always try and tear you down, but if you're not in to make finals, why are you playing? So that's our reality, that's where we're at, and that's our understanding. We've got to make sure we deliver on that. Our fans haven't experienced it, but, we're asking them to jump on board. And, we speak about being fearless in 2025. It's time for us to show it, so we're ready to go.